So I've been following your journey for a while now of Swindon Property Media, and it's really clear you've got a gift for creating scroll-stopping content. I'm curious what attracted you to working with estate agents specifically.
I kind of just fell into it, to be honest.
Okay.
Um, I originally just wanted to film content, period. It didn't really matter who or what I was going to be
Mm.
filming. I was working in a warehouse at the time and I just really wanted to get out of there, basically. And my first client was a recruitment agent.
Okay.
And that kind of paid my mortgage. So I was kind of happy, that I'd managed to do that after kind of taking the leap.
Mm.
Um, and then just out of nowhere, someone put me in a diary for one of the larger estate agents in Swindon. And I went there and for some reason, he actually thought I was the electrician when I turned up. So I don't know, he even knew what was going on in the meeting, to be honest. But yeah, I had a trial one with him. He loved it. And, for the next couple of years, I was working, exclusively for that estate agent. And yeah, just got really good at estate agent because I was doing it so regularly.
Mm.
So yeah, it just completely by chance just sort of fell into it, really.
Yeah. And it's really evolved, hasn't it? Because it's gone from these beautiful property videos that you're creating. But what I'm seeing is a lot more estate agents now are also leaning into their brand, their own personal brand within these agencies and doing that kind of content as well.
Yeah, super important.
Mm.
People buy from people, right? And I think generally speaking, people are kind of tired of like the way that chains do things and the way that chains treat people, like the more national side.
Yeah.
And people just want to deal with honest, genuine people that really want to sell their home.
Yeah.
And just turning up with a phone and just quickly whipping it around someone's house, and then bish bash bosh, that's done. On to the next one,
Yeah.
isn't very personal, and that's why I choose which agents I'm going to work with very specifically. That's one of the big things,
Okay.
is how they treat people. What are what processes have they got in to make sure that they're actually taking care of their clients and doing what's right and investing in the marketing in order to actually get that person moved. That's a really big thing for me. If I feel like they're being a bit shady, then I won't work with them. So actually getting on camera and speaking and showing your face is not only good for looking personable, but it actually, people recognize your face. You
Mm.
start to become more recognizable within the market, and you just look more genuine and more honest. So I think going forward, agents really need to start. I know it's scary,
Yeah.
but agents really need to start getting in front of camera. The ones that do that and do it well, um, they're the ones that are going to ultimately win in the
Yeah.
end.
And I've definitely seen a shift. I mean, I'm not an estate agent, but I've definitely seen a shift. Maybe since like COVID, there's been a moving away from these large organizations, these large agencies to individuals. And like, for example, when you see in Facebook groups, people are like, oh, can you recommend an estate agent? You go through the comments, I'm seeing people's names. I'm not seeing agency names. And I think that's a huge shift. Yeah.
Yeah, there appears to be more and more independent agents popping up all the time.
Mm.
Just that, every time I go on Facebook, there's another name mentioned, and I'm like, who are they?
Why are they not working with me yet?
Exactly right. Where are they on Instagram? So yeah, it's and also agents are starting to realize that actually they can work the way they want without having to follow the company's processes
Mm.
that force them to be less personable. They can make more money working for themselves. And some agents, I think they just want that autonomy. They don't want to be working as many hours as they are working, and they want to be able to pick and choose what they do. And when you're working for yourself, you're getting that whole commission.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you could sell one house and that's your bills done.
Yeah.
So like I think agents are starting to realize that actually the larger agency model isn't working for them.
Mm.
And they actually want to go off and get on their own. Because one thing I've learned about estate agents is they're very aspirational.
Yes.
They've all got big goals. They all want to get as far as they can
Yeah.
in the industry. And I just think that's a great way of doing it. Some people use a stepping stone. So they might use like an intermediary company where they borrow their brand and the brand pays for certain things for them, like Rightmove, etc. Because
Mm.
Rightmove is extortionately
I
expensive.
know. I never
Yeah,
knew that until I met estate agents. I was like, wow.
yeah,
There I was just thinking you just put a picture on a website. I was like, it costs a lot of money to have access to that website.
yeah, 100% in. So like if you wanted to just kind of test the waters of going self-employed, you kind of can
Mm.
with support.
Mm.
And I think that model is very popular as well. And I think as time goes on, people will eventually become fully autonomous. I
Yeah.
think that's the goal of a lot of estate agents, start popping up branches and start developing
Mm.
their own thing. So yeah, it is a massive shift.
But this is where the work you do comes in so strongly, because a lot of estate agents probably start out early just doing things with their mobile phone. But you make a really good point about investing into the brand, because actually, if they're starting out and they're being perceived as not quite that good quality, low quality videos, they might come across as a bit cheap as well. And if they're trying to set a high standard for their work, they need that capital behind them to invest in these things when they start out.
100%. You don't want to look cheap, right? For sure.
Or
And
unprofessional in any way.
yeah, and that's where you've got the one up, because the larger estate agents have more overhead,
Mm.
right? So they have, IT people, they have finance people, they have HR, they have loads and loads of offices, and they're actually the least likely people to be able to afford me, because they're spending it on so much other stuff,
Yeah,
right?
I've not thought of it like that.
So that gives you an opening while these agencies are doing content sort of on a phone real
Mm.
quick and dirty, because they don't have the time. They've got that one house to sell, but then also 10 others that month to hit their target or whatever it is. This is where you can actually come in. You've got more time. You can do the marketing correctly. You can look more professional. You can go further for your client, get that better review in, and straight away. And we can see it. We see it today. Like you say earlier, people are starting to name names rather than companies when they're looking for estate agents. So that's the win, not having the overheads, so that you can actually do the right thing for vendors, which
Yeah.
is crazy. You would think that's what everyone is doing.
Well,
but it is not the
historically
case.
not.
Yeah. So yeah, very, very, very important. And just being well known, getting established, working with anyone in the local community. If you want to get big in Stratton, you want to get big in Old Town, work closely with the local businesses, do collab posts with them, highlight them, not you, which is another point we'll get onto at some point.
Yeah.
And yeah, just keep it up over the years. You'll start to pull ahead. And
Yeah.
I think these larger agencies don't have much of a future in them.
It really is beginning to feel like that, isn't it? And what I loved about something you said earlier in the conversation is that you don't just work with anyone. You want to make sure that they are actually doing the right thing by the end consumer, by their clients. So what are the things you would like them to be thinking about, rather than just, oh, I just need to put something on Instagram, or I just need to get a sale?
I think awareness is probably the biggest thing you're going to need. Obviously, have the money behind you to do it. I mean, I'm not an estate agent, so like, my advice on this, like, take it with a pinch of salt. But on the brand marketing side of things, market yourself as knowledgeable, market yourself as personable, and work with the right people to get yourself in front of as many people as humanly possible. And a lot of people fall into the trap of talking about a estate agency when they do branded content. Nobody cares.
So
I'm
true.
telling you now, nobody cares. If someone's selling their house right now, sure, right? They might care about, what the market rate's doing, or, how you answer the phone really quickly, and, all that kind of stuff. When they're not selling their house, that no one's thinking about estate agents. And this is the difference between the conveyor belt of get the house on, sell it, make the money, move on. That's like what I would call like fast content. That's where you get it on, the views for that house jump up for a little while, and then it kind of simmers down for a bit. That's fast paced, short term content. Long term content is the people, you reaching the people that aren't selling their house now, but might sell the house in the next 5 years. Those are the people that you should be aiming for. And I think especially so if you're a new starter. You don't necessarily have to get me to do it if you haven't got the money, but just start getting your name out there as much as possible. Find a business, maybe you know the owner, maybe they're just local to you. How many followers have they got on Instagram? If they got like a couple of thousand on there, great. That's a couple of thousand more than you. Highlight them. Do not talk about a estate agency. Talk about just their coffee shop, just their library, whatever it is. Talk about just that, because the people in the local community care about that local business. So they're going to watch that. And you're getting your face on there. And then you do that collab post on Instagram. For those that don't know, a collab post will be shown on both your profiles. So you share the analytics, etc. So straight away, your face is in front of their 2,000 followers or 5,000 followers or whatever it is. And early days, that should be the mission, I think. Become as well known as humanly possible. And all that is brand work. It's not necessarily house videos or anything like that. Just be a good guy, be good at your job, and make people aware that you exist.
Yeah. And I completely agree with that. I've been in business 10 years and it's absolutely essential. And it's so clear that what you bring to the market is so much more than just videography. You don't just rock up and do, hey, I've done a nice video, you can slap it on Instagram and then you're done. You've got so much knowledge. And it's quite clear that that's been built up for a while, because your entrepreneurial journey didn't start with Swindon Property Media, did it? It started a little bit before then.
Yeah. So I was just working in warehousing. I was playing music at the time, actually. And that's what I wanted to do full time. I wanted to be a big rock star and travel the world and do all that kind of stuff. That's what I really wanted to do. And I was working in a warehouse, just sort of make ends meet, basically. And when the music side kind of ended, that's where I kind of put my energy into my work. And throughout various stages of my career, I ended up working in America, I ended up working in different places, all for logistics. Ended up being the operations manager at WH Smith's. Had a mental breakdown then, because I really wanted to do this thing for a living. I really wanted to be creative for a living. And I dabbled in bits. I'd done a couple of weddings. I'd shot, my first video was actually for a clothing brand.
Oh, wow.
A local one in Bourton Bassett. And yeah, just shooting bits for bands and things like that. But I couldn't do it full time, because I was 14 hours in a big metal shed in the middle of an industrial estate, dealing with about 600 people.
Wow.
And yeah, it was just so stressful going in every day, knowing I'm not going to enjoy it, knowing this is not what's meant for me or anything like that. And I got signed off sick, and I decided in that time to just sort of make the leap at that point into self-employment. And I was finding it really hard to get out of bed, and I wrote "Get Inspired" on my bedroom door, basically, is to just say, get out of bed, do something, be inspired to actually change your life here. And that's when Inspire Creative started. And initially I wanted to just help people with mental health problems. So I started a little series called the Inspire series that got picked up by local BBC, a couple of other radio stations, the paper. And that helps get my name out. To go back to getting your name out.
Absolutely.
But also I was helping people tell their stories, and and people would hear that and would feel inspired themselves. And that was kind of the whole point. Then when I got my first client, everything was all good. Then I got my second one, which was going to take up all of my time, meaning I couldn't look after the first one anymore. And that's when I started hiring people. And then that was a completely different.
That's a whole different game.
That's a whole different game, being an employer. I've been a boss, but I've never been an employer. And the main purpose of starting the business was to get myself out of the problems that I was having with mental health by doing something that I enjoyed doing. But then I found myself very quickly in a position where actually I could do that with other people. And I thought, wouldn't that be lovely? So, I was looking for people who were in the same position as me, working a job that they hated, wanting to do creative work, and it was affecting their mental health. And I did find people that were in that position and did hire them. And over the course of Inspire Creative being a thing, people were coming off of their meds, et cetera. And now they've gone off and they've started their own companies, and they're all doing two of them are making more money than I am now. They're flying. They're doing really well. One's working on like Hollywood films and stuff. And so
how incredible to look back on that and know that you were a little part of someone's life completely changing, someone who was in a really dark place to now making Hollywood movies. Like, it must make you feel amazing knowing that you've been a little part of that.
I'm really proud of that. That's, when you look back, I mean, unfortunately, in the end, you can't be a philanthropist and not make money. You have to make the money.
Mm.
um, and things got tricky with Inspire, and I ended up having to close it down. But that affected my mental health pretty badly. Found myself in hospital and all kinds of stuff like that. I could bring a picture up now. And yeah, but now coming out the other end of it, I look back at Inspire and I'm like, it makes me proud, because we did help people, and people have moved on in their career and they are doing what they love for a living, and so am I. So like, win-win, everyone wins, So, and I learned a lot about business doing Inspire. So yeah, it was, mission accomplished.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I really don't think you can look back at that time in your life and sort of go, oh, well, I had to liquidate it, so that's a failure. Actually, as I'm listening to that, I'm going like, yep, tick, tick, tick. That's a huge lesson and a huge amount of success to go from, being in a dark place yourself to creating something incredible that helped loads of people and was, a really successful business. I'm curious to know how you mentally handled that, to go from a dark place and then have this amazing thing that was kind of like your outlet, your solution to it, to then having to close it and falling back into that dark space yourself. How did you navigate that?
The hardest thing for me was saying goodbye to the people, without a doubt. Like, I didn't mind getting, if I had to get rid of the offices, if I had to sell a load of the kit, if I had to do all that kind of stuff, I didn't mind that as much. Kit comes and goes, offices change all the time. But having to let go of the people, I mean, one of them, had a baby on the way, and I was effectively going to be telling him he was being made redundant. And like, yeah, I've had to do that as a boss in the past. I've had to I've had to dismiss people and things like that, and that's not nice. But when it's people that you've been working with and they're working on your, like, something that is actually your baby. They say this in warehousing all the time. That department's your baby. Look after it. It's a job.
Yeah.
Right. When it's your business, it is your baby. And you've got people that you're working really closely with, that you formed a connection with over time. And particularly when it comes to mental health and things like that, you're worried about, are they going to slip back? Right. Are they going to be able to support their families, et cetera, et cetera? So I found those conversations incredibly difficult to have. Yeah. So yeah, it did affect my mental health in a big way. That was the main reason for it, is that I was just so worried about them. I was also worried about me as well. I didn't want to go back to warehousing. I didn't want to end up, I don't have any other skills, right? Logistics, I'm cool with. This, I'm cool with. I just didn't, there was just no, I didn't know what the future was. Yeah. And that filled me with a lot of anxiety, and that anxiety turned into depression.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I say, I ended up in hospital and, et cetera, et cetera. It got less as I started going through the process of the liquidation, and things started to get done, and we were getting toward the end of it all. My mind started to relax a little bit more, and I was able to just sort of move on. I managed to keep one of the clients. Well, I've actually kept quite a few of them, actually, to be fair, like, because they've just followed me.
Yes.
Again
goes back to the personal branding.
Back to the personal branding, because people wanted to work with me. They didn't care if it was what the logo was.
Yeah.
They just wanted to work with me. So I did manage to keep a couple. What the biggest one for me was, I used to do like broadcast television cameraman work. And I managed to hold on to that client. Sadly, they've closed now, and that building's being demolished, and houses are being built there. So who knows? Maybe I'll work there again. But I did that for about a year, solid. But I really struggled. So at first, I was only doing Saturdays and using a freelancer to cover the weekdays. And then when I found out that was closing, I was like, okay, we've got to dust off. We've got to get back to it, armed with a lot more knowledge than what I had back then. And just really pursued it and went after it, and started this new company that I'm doing now, Swindon Property Media, on May 22nd last year. So it's been just over a year now, and it's absolutely flown. It's gone incredibly well, and I've not really done much to market myself. I think what it is when I was working with the other agent, I had such a large body of work that they all would have seen. so when I become available to work with anyone, I think that's when people just sort of started messaging me, and things went for there. I've
Yeah.
done absolutely no outreach whatsoever. I just
Wow.
made an Instagram account. I started posting stuff on there and started getting DMs. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And again, that's testament to your work though. Like the quality of your work is so good. And like I said at the beginning of the conversation, I've been following your work for a while. And it's got to the point now that even though you are exceptional at showcasing the agent's brand voice, their style, their unique proposition, I've watched so many of your videos now. I'm like, I can tell that's a James video. There's a certain level of quality and there's a certain kind of style that you have that I'm like, oh yeah, okay, it's a completely different agent, but I can still tell that's a James video.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I think, a lot of that probably just comes from the image quality, where Inspire did a lot of like commercial ads and things like
Mhm.
that. So the kit that we had was like, uh, a cut above what a regular videographer would have had.
Mm,
Um, and I still have some of that kit. I managed to buy it off the auctioneer and etc.
yeah.
So the quality straight away is that, but then also it's not just about the camera. It's about the person behind the camera. And I've shot a lot of houses now. I've
Yeah.
done easily over 1,000 houses. Um, I just have a way of doing it that works, and
Mm.
I've kind of crafted it and shaped it, and I have a couple of signatures, like taps on. People usually mention me like there's always a shot of a running tap for some reason, um, and yeah, there's just a way I do it. But what we're doing at the moment, I mean, that was year one for this business, was just doing it in my style, get them used to it. Year two is now, how do we make it more them
Mm.
rather than my style? And that's where like the one that you saw at the county ground
Yeah.
comes into play,
Brilliant.
and a couple of others that I've done. I've done one for home finders, where one of their agents, Dom, is just kind of hanging out in a house. That
Yeah,
was
I
Ocus
saw
Road.
that one. That was
Yeah,
brilliant. Yeah.
yeah. And now we're starting to play around with the brand side and how do we make it not my style, but make it their style.
Mm.
And for me, that's riskier. You don't really want to be doing that with a brand new client straight away, particularly if they weren't doing that much video before, because there's the risk that you might try an idea and it won't work.
Yeah.
And you want to build that trust with them first. So the whole of the first year of this business has just been do house videos the way I do it, and get them used to it, build that trust with that client. And then year two, now we're starting to play around and we're starting to have a bit
Mm.
of fun and we're starting to take risks. And these videos are doing, 4x the
Wow.
numbers that the previous ones were doing now, because we're taking more risks and doing more flashier stuff, I
Yeah.
suppose. So yeah, and as time progresses, we'll then get into the branded content side of things, which is a harder sell. I was telling you
Mm.
previously, like with houses, they know that they're going to spend X amount of money on the house video, but they know they're going to make X amount when the house gets sold. So they can just minus one figure from the other and it kind of squares away in their head.
Mm.
This, though, is very different. This is, you've got to spend the money and you've got to keep spending the money and you've got to do it over a long extended period of time
Yeah.
to start seeing the results. But the results are tenfold greater than just what you'd be doing with house videos. So
Mm.
it's getting people to start taking the risks, and you can't do that without the trust.
Mm-hmm.
So year two, start doing the branded stuff with the houses. Year three, by that point, they probably know what I do works
Yeah.
very, well, and we can move on to the bigger and better thing.
And
Bigger and
well,
better
hopefully,
things.
if they've actually taken your advice and they've done the work and they've built that reputation up, fingers crossed, they would have been bringing in the clients the same in the way that you do. You don't really have to do outreach. They just sort of come to you because they know the quality is going to be good. So hopefully, if they have taken your advice, they've squirreled away a little bit so that they're actually able to invest. Because if they don't, they might be at a certain level of success, but that's where they'll stay. They have to invest if they want to grow the business. You
Yeah,
can't grow.
and that's brand. Like
Mm.
that's it in a sentence. Is like literally, it's when I think of estate agents, who do I think of?
Mhm.
That's brand. Like it's not Googling estate agents in Swindon. It's just knowing who the estate agent in Swindon is.
Yeah.
And that's brand.
Yeah, and that really fascinates me because it looks like the industry is just changing. Like we said earlier in the conversation, we've got so many people now going out on their own, going self-employed. The big agencies aren't really dominating the markets anymore. And you've got people like House and Avocado who are doing things slightly differently. I think it's going to be a really interesting industry to watch because the change has happened from my perspective. It's happened really quickly and it just seems to be speeding up. So it's going to be an industry to watch, I reckon.
Yeah, I think the market shares are going to change quite dramatically. I
Mm.
think as time goes on, I think it's going to move away from the larger agencies onto the smaller agents for sure. And we see that reflected in Facebook all the time.
Absolutely.
Threads.
That's the shift that I keep seeing. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
amazing.
And so the shape and the dynamic of this is gonna change a lot, and it's gonna become a lot more video centric.
Mm.
So if you're not doing video yet, get on it.
Contact James. Yeah, and something actually going back to Instagram, because that's where I discovered you, is that I saw on one of your stories quite recently that you describe yourself as a big old Christian,
Oh yeah.
which just really made me smile. So, how does that, if it does it influence how you work at all?
I mean, massively. I mean, people don't see it on the outside,
Mm.
unless I guess they're thinking about it. But yeah, Christianity for me is like a massive part of my identity, and it's massive in the way that I treat other people. So like in Colossians, for example, 3:23, it says to like whatever you do with all your heart and do it as if you're doing it for the Lord. And it's like to break that down, whatever you do means he's not talking about what ministry you run or
Mm.
how many times you pray the rosary or anything like that. It's talking about anything like me with, camera work, yourself,
Yeah.
even just putting a screw in an engine, in a line.
Mm-hmm.
It, it, what matters isn't what you do, it's how you do it. And to do it with all your heart means to do it with excellence, to do it with compassion, to do it with kindness, to do it, to the absolute best of your ability, as if you were doing it for the Lord.
Mm.
And that is the biggest line actually from that verse, because let's say you go the extra mile for a client and they don't really recognize that you did that, and they're just like, thanks, and that's it. But you spent an extra 4 hours making this thing perfect, right? It's not the approval of the client that you're after, it's the approval of God.
Mm-hmm.
And the effort that you put into that matters so much more than the outcome, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense.
Yeah. So if you get, if I send out a video and I get 400 notes back or whatever, right? That's great, and I'll do that for them. But I know that I put my absolute all into that piece, so I am satisfied.
Mm.
I don't look at that email and go, "Oh my God, this client's a nightmare."
Yeah.
I don't do that. So like, it changes your framework. It changes the lens in which you look at how you operate business and
Yeah.
how you deal with people. And then on top of that, the other thing that being a Christian does is, before, when I wasn't a Christian, if I didn't get work for 2 weeks, I would start panicking. It would be
Mm.
like alarm bells. It would be like battle stations. We've got to get work. Send
Yeah.
out 1,000 emails immediately. And I would feel that anxiety and I'd feel that pressure. But when you're a Christian, you don't have that outlook. You if doing this isn't meant for me, then it wouldn't be meant for me anyway.
Mm.
And if it is meant for me, then it will go really well. Like I say, I've done no outreach.
Yeah.
I've just put my faith in that God has this plan for me. He's made me a creative person. So
Mm.
go and be creative.
Yeah.
And I think that's why my soul was like in so much pain when I was in warehousing, because it wasn't what I was put here to do.
Mm.
I was put here to be creative
Yeah.
and help people. And now that I'm doing that, it's going extremely well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that anxiety of not having no work or anything like that, or I just don't get that.
Mm.
So I'm much more at peace doing what I'm doing.
Wow. I mean, I can imagine a lot of people listening to that goes, that sounds really appealing because running a business is not the easiest thing. And I can imagine a lot of people could be like, I'd quite like that level of peace in my life. And it's so beautiful that that's the lens you view business through. And the thing is, it's quite clear in the work that you produce. It's such high quality. It's so clear you care. You make sure that it's at the best standard for everyone you work with. I think it's a really beautiful way of running business. And so, have you always been a Christian, or did you find faith later in life?
I grew up Catholic. I went to a Catholic primary school, Catholic secondary school. I was christened. and learnt about God through there. My grandfather was quite religious as well, and I think once I hit my teens, I think just like being a rock star and going off and drinking with my mates
The
and
two
go,
didn't quite match.
yeah, and I just kind of fell into that sort of just having fun sort of lifestyle.
Mm,
And I kind of made, it says in the Bible not to make idols of things other than God, right? And I was making idols of being a musician. I was making idols of, hanging out with my mates, get drunk, whatever it was.
mm,
What you do in your teenager,
yeah.
instead of fixing my eyes on what I should have been fixing my eyes on. And for the longest time, I really struggled with that. And then I went through all the depression and I went through the anxiety and I, in and out of hospital and all that kind of stuff. Um, and you know, at some point, I just what happened is I looked at the state of the world, and I was like, man, things ain't looking good.
Mhm.
Um, and there was the evidence of like evil everywhere. And I was like, if there's this much evil in the world, then there must be so much good in the world too. I'm just not seeing it because I'm not putting myself in a position to see it. I'm
Mm,
constantly bogged down with work. I'm constantly bogged down with just trying to be the next big thing with music, etc., etc. And I'm not fixing my eyes on actually none of this matters in
mm.
50 years' time. None of it matters. And I just decided I'm just going to walk into a church and just try and reconnect. And I walked into church. The first time I walked into church, I was just a mess. I was a complete mess,
Oh, in what
and
sense?
I just felt just the Holy Spirit just hit me,
Wow.
and I just was bawling my eyes out, and I just it was coming back,
Wow.
and a friend of mine said you should go on an Alpha course. And an Alpha course, for anyone that doesn't know, is like a get together. People come that are questioning the Christian faith. Maybe they're thinking about this whole God thing, and they want to ask the big questions.
Mm.
There's a course. You watch a video. You all get together. You sit. You eat together. There's a hot meal um, every single Wednesday, and yeah, you just watch the video and ask the big questions. And there's going to be more seasoned Christians there that are willing to answer your questions and take you through this whole thing. And hopefully help you on your way to becoming more connected with God,
Mm.
And I did that, and that's when, I just sort of went all in. That church, like I can't be inside that church enough. Like I go in there
Mm.
and like, the other day we were helping with cooking for the Alpha course
Mm.
and meeting all those guys, etc., etc. I've been asked if I want to have my own group that I look after in the
Amazing.
September Alpha course. Hopefully that comes through because I would love to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, anything that I can do to help in the church. I'm on the worship team now. Um, playing guitar or drums or whatever. So actually, I'm still
Oh, you
getting
still
to
a
do
rock
the
star.
music part, right? But I'm using it to lift God up now, which is more fulfilling than anything else I could possibly do. So, um, so yeah, that's now what I do, and it bleeds, like I say, it bleeds into my work life,
Mm.
into my personal life, into my family life now, and
Yeah.
it just makes me a much more content and happier person.
And that's so beautiful. Like that, just listening to that was giving me goosebumps. Like it's really, really beautiful. And I just think when we reflect back on everything we've talked about in what you did with that company and helping people who were clearly not on their right path, they were suffering with depression, and actually you helped them find their creative path and they flourished. And I really do think that sometimes if we falter from our path, God, the universe, whatever you believe in, kind of gives you a little bit of a tap going, you're you need to just realign a little bit and get yourself back on the path. But I must say, everything you were like listing off there, it sounds like a full-time job. So how do you navigate some kind of work-life blend? Because you've got a family as well and the business and the church. How do you navigate it all?
So I've got this business. I also have the church band, another band that I'm in Wootton Bassett, and another band that I'm joining that are like more London way. So I have those three things to look after. One thing I will mention though is like with bands is that once you get larger, it actually takes up less of your time, believe it or
Interesting.
not. So you'll do a couple of tours a year, but they'll be bigger ones. It won't be like scattered pubs and clubs
Yeah.
every Saturday you're playing. So you when you are not with the band, you're able to live your life how you would normally live it for
Mm.
a good, 4 or 5 months before you actually have to do something.
Yep.
You don't practice as regularly. People are scattered all over the country, et cetera, et cetera. So, um, you know, the band stuff takes up less time than what people would think, if that
Okay.
makes sense. It might just be an isolated 2 weeks where I have to go on tour.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm back for ages,
It's a very subtle way of going, you're actually pretty good at this.
I've been
You're
doing it a
not
long
just doing
time.
a pub gig now and then. You're actually, these are quite big bands.
Yeah, for sure. Like I've toured around
Amazing.
Europe. One of the bands that I'm in has just come off of the back of a US headline North American run.
Wow.
So yeah, like I've been doing music since I was 8. I picked up a guitar when I was 8 years old.
That's
So yeah, I've been doing it a long time, and I know how to manage it, and how to still live a life
amazing.
with it. And then on top of that, of course, my mum and dad are getting on in years now. My mum has dementia, so she needs a lot of help. So, yeah, she leaves the oven on quite a lot, things like that. And my dad struggles not mentally but physically.
Yeah.
He struggles, so he requires a lot of help as well. But luckily, I only live 5 doors down,
Oh,
so
wow. Okay.
yeah, I can just they could just call me and I can run up and I can help them with whatever it is that they need.
Yeah.
If they want me to cook, I can do that. If they want me to sort something out on their computer, which is the majority of them, then I can do that. And then obviously I've got my own family. I've got my daughter Isla, 6 years old. She's about to turn 7 in a couple of weeks' time. And then obviously my wife and the things that we need to want to do and go on holiday and go out and do bits and bobs and chores and all that. Yeah, and then the church. Obviously, every third Sunday I play in the band, and then on Wednesday I have a group that I go to where we just study faith, read the Bible, etc., etc. And yeah, it's packed. It's really busy. I've got a lot of stuff going on, but I make it work. And quite often people will see me. I'll post like a picture of a clock, right, saying 1 a.m. or something on it, and I'll be like, "This is what working for yourself is like,"
Yep.
But it wouldn't be if I didn't have all these other things on. Doesn't actually take me that long to edit a house video. It probably takes me about an hour and a half, 2 hours, probably at best, unless it's got something going on with it. Like that one that I did at the county ground was not 2 hours,
Yeah, I can
worth of
imagine.
editing. Yeah, I was like 6 hours on that thing. But yeah, sometimes I'll shoot a house, I'll get back, and then before I can start editing, I have to help my mum and dad with something. I have to then go get Isla from school. I then have to do X,
Yeah.
Y, and Z. Sometimes I don't get to the edit until 8 o'clock. So then I'm finishing at 10,
Yeah.
But if you love something, it just doesn't feel like work to me. That's the thing. So like, I don't mind doing it until midnight, 1 o'clock or whatever. I'm happy to do that because I actually enjoy putting these things together.
Yeah.
It's not just a job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am busy, but I've always got time. It's a really weird thing to say.
God's like, don't worry, love. I've just paused time for you so you
Yeah,
can cram
perfect.
everything in.
Yeah. So yeah, and the good thing about only working with certain clients that I agree with the way they work, etc., is that I am limiting the amount of work that I am willing to take on. There's some agents that if they approach me, I would say no.
Yep.
And that helps.
So we do hear, don't we, a lot on podcasts about self-care and taking care of ourselves. I mean, how do you find that slither of time to find some self-care, and what does that look like for you?
Yeah, like if I'm not working, then I try to spend quality time with the family if I can. Even if it's just watching a movie or doing crafting with Isla or something like that. But also like sitting down, reading the Bible. Anything to do with church isn't work. That's like a holiday. Like I just genuinely enjoy being there, and I wind down and I don't think about anything else. So when I am doing something like that, that is me relaxing. So having that is very important for me as well. I play a lot of chess in my downtime as well. That relaxes me quite a bit. So yeah, like it keeps me fresh and sort of rejuvenated, especially if I've been to church. I come back and I'm ready to go. Doesn't matter if I've already done an 8-hour shift. I go to church, I come out and I'm like, I can do another 8 hours,
Love that.
So yeah, that's how I take care of myself. Take care of myself spiritually, I take care of my family. Everything else falls into place.
Love that. That's amazing. And given all the things you've done, all your experience in the business world as well, has your definition of success changed over time?
Massively. Yeah. Success to me back in the day used to be all about commodities. It just always used to be about what you can obtain. You know, have you got like the nicest car? Have you got
Yeah.
like the biggest house? Have you got loads of money? Have you got, fame, etc., etc.? That to me was success.
Mm.
So your business wasn't successful unless it was turning over at least 50K a month or something like that,
Yeah.
right? Um, and actually, success is just living the life that is comfortable for you.
Mm.
And I've managed to manage my level of success over the years to a point where I'm quite happy with work just being me. Like I don't have any staff, I don't have an
Mm.
office, I don't have anything else going on. Um, so that the level, if I still thought like that, the level of entry for success is a lot lower. Number
Mhm.
one, but also again because of my Christianity, etc. Even if this didn't work, as long as I'm still doing what's right for him,
Mhm.
I am successful. So, if you can get by and you can still for anyone who doesn't, isn't a believer or anything, if you genuinely enjoy what you love doing, regardless of how much money it makes you, and you still get to have time with your family and and look after them, you're successful.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And it's interesting, the more of these interviews I do, the more people seem to be saying something similar. It's I don't know whether maybe it's just an age thing, but we get to that point where we realize we don't necessarily need the Ferrari and the Gucci bag and the big house and all the things we're told to like have on this checklist of life to be successful. It's like we no longer need to prove that to anyone. And actually, if you can get to the end of the day, go home and be like, yeah, I'm really happy. I've got everything I need. Like that's just beautiful, right? That's just all we need.
I think what it is people want other people to think that they're successful more than they want to feel successful, if that makes sense. So
Mm.
so like before I had like two studios in Swindon, one over in Brighton, and I had like, a flashier car, and I had like staff, and every time I hired a new person, I'd be like, I run a business with X amount of staff and all that kind of stuff. And it was all very like, I don't know who I'm trying to impress with that. But it's just trying to be showy for the sake of it. And when you
Mhm.
first start doing business, that's what you want. You want to look successful. You want to be able to go on LinkedIn and just type in like, oh, like, we've had an incredible year and turned over this amount of money and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. None of it really matters. And as you get older, you realize like, oh, actually, I should probably spend less. Not spend less on this business, but also like spend less time thinking about it, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. It's really hard for self-employed people to do because you live and breathe your job all the time.
Mhm.
But I think as time goes on, you start to realize this should occupy less of my brain space
Mm.
and the stress shouldn't get to me as much. Um, so yeah, once you've done a business and you've ran it and then you've had to close it and then you've had to start it again, you realize it's not that scary. If it
Mhm.
if it has to close, it has to close,
Yeah.
and everything's going to be fine. You're going to be
Mhm.
fine, and the level of freedom that gives you is immense.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree. And I think, you've explained your faith, which I think really helps with that. But for, agents that are thinking about going out on their own or joining somewhere like House or Avocado, that can take a little while to ingrain because they're so used to chasing the salary and being told what to do, right? They're just not used to having that just faith and trust in themselves that everything will be okay.
Yeah, you don't have to be these big American estate agents, these big
No.
Australian estate agents that are selling $30 million, you know, celebrity homes, on the
Mhm.
beach or whatever. Because that comes up a lot in the state agency. They all want to be these big guys and they all, you first of all, you're in Swindon, right? There are no 30 million celebrity mansions here.
Or a nice
Um,
beach.
yeah, so to even do the kind of content that they're doing is very difficult if you haven't got the product to
Yeah.
show. Um, so yeah, just think less about that kind of stuff. It's not important. Just
Mm.
if, sell the amount of houses that you need to be able to sell in order to get by. If you do well, then expand it,
Yeah.
and expand it in a way that does, like, don't just hold on to all this work and try and do it all yourself.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Just look after your home life
Yeah.
is what I'm trying to say. Look
Yeah.
after your home life. It's not that important.
Yeah.
You're just selling houses.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's more to life.
Yeah.
Just do the right things, and if you do the right things, then you will be successful.
Mm. And I think that's such a beautiful note to end on. So thank you so much for being part of this conversation and being on the podcast.
Thank you very much. Cheers.